really blowout numbers from the company, but I'm sort of surprised by the stock market reaction so far. Talk us through the numbers and also the reaction we're seeing as well.
Sure. So we're seeing that Hynix is raising about 1% gain earlier and then turning to the negative territory in this early trading session on Thursday. And that might be reflecting somewhat concerns from the investors after this really strong surprise fourth quarter, which was probably driven by this higher than expected demand from PCs, smartphones, AI. There may be some concerns that clients may have to reduce their orders for the first quarter after this really strong fourth quarter that has to help driven SK Hynix to post a turnaround in their fourth quarter operating profit. Also, you have to see that the SK Hynix was one of the strongest performer in South Korea last year. The shares rose 90% in 2023, and that's a lot ahead of its key rival, Samsung Electronics. And that's been driven by the expectations for the SK Hynix being ahead in the AI race. But the shares rising 90%, it was one of the strongest annual performance. So the investor might be taking some breather at the moment.
Yeah, Youkyung, what are we hearing from SK Hynix in terms of its outlook and capex plans?
So SK Hynix has given somewhat guidance that shows some increase in the capex, but it hasn't told us where that increase in the capex would go to. So that will be the one key question coming from the investors during the earnings conference call this morning. They're really curious where that increased capex will be spent on, whether that will go to the AI chip-related area or others. That could also affect the supply and demand situation that really affects memory chip prices. So that will be one of the areas that investor will be curious. The other is that investor will also ask SK Hynix about its plan on staying ahead in the AI race. A lot of investors I've spoken to said they expect SK Hynix to maintain its edge ahead its rival Samsung Electronics. SK Hynix is one of the key supplier of AI chip related devices called HBM to NVIDIA. And that has helped SK Hynix shares outperforms its rival Samsung Electronics last year. So what investor will be curious about is how long that competitive edge will last.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about, because we actually have seen Samsung and Micron as well. They're other ones that are looking to get more of that market for HBM chips. So what's your sense from the analysts and investors that you're speaking to so far?
So it looks like a lot of people I've spoken to don't want to leave the party too early, and they seem to believe that there will be several quarters to go for the memory chip profit share upturn for going ahead. So they don't want to leave the party too early, and some of them expect SK Hynix to be staying ahead in the AI race, but engineers at Samsung and SK Hynix must be really working hard to stay ahead in this really key, important area for the tech industry. So we'll have to see how that goes.